So hello and welcome back to the DevOps with us channel. I'm Prashant Goy and today we are going to solve cloud AWS Cloud Task 2, which is to create a security group on a code cloud platform. So let's just start this task. So first of all, I would like to brief you about what we are going to do and what does this security group and all does mean. So you can create an EC2 instance on AWS, you can generate a key pair. Everything may look perfectly fine, but still you won't be able to access your server. There is no SSH, no website, nothing will work. And the reason behind that is something very simple but very powerful, which is a security group. And today we are going to understand it in a way that you will never get confused about networking access in AWS again. So this is day 2 of our AWS journey, and now we are moving one step deeper into how real infrastructure works. Because creating resources is one thing, but controlling who can access them and how the traffic flows, that what actually makes a system usable and secure. So today we are going to create a security group named data center SG, right? But more importantly, we are going to understand what a security group actually does internally and how it controls traffic and how it fits into the incomplete networking flow of AWS. So now, instead of starting with the steps, first understand the real problem that security group solves. So basically, imagine you have launched a server, means an EC2 instance in AWS. That server is sitting inside a AWS network, and now someone from the internet is trying to connect to it. So before the traffic even reaches to your server, AWS evaluates something called a security group. So a security group is basically a virtual firewall that is managed by the AWS itself, but unlike traditional firewalls that run inside the operating system, the firewall exists at the AWS networking layer itself, which means the traffic is filtered before it even reaches to your server, right? uh, so if a request does not match any allowed rule, it simply means that uh, instance and so basically, so if a request does not match any allowed rule, it is simply dropped silently. Your server will not even know that what request exists. Now this brings a very important concept called the inbound and outbound rules, right? So basically, inbound rules controls the traffic coming into your instance, and outbound rules control traffic going out from your instance. So in this task, we are focusing on inbound rules, right? Now each inbound rule has three important parts: the protocol, which defines how the data should be transferred, how the data is transferred; then the port, which defines which service is being accessed; and the source, which defines from where the traffic is coming. Now when you see something like 0.0.0.0, so this is called the CIDR notation, and it represents the entire IPv4 internet, which means this one, which means anyone from the anyone from anywhere can access that port, right? So now we are going to allow two types of access. First is HTTP, which runs on the port 80, and this is used for the web traffic. So if you are running something like Nginx or Apache, it listens on port 80, right? Now second is SSH, which runs on port number 22, and this is used to log into your server securely. Now one more important behavior you must understand is that security groups are stateful. Stateful means that if you allow incoming traffic, the response traffic is also allowed automatically back. So you do not need to define separate outbound rules for that response. For example, if you allow SSH on port 22 and you connect from your system to the server's response back to you is automatically allowed. So this simplifies the networking a lot compared to traditional firewalls. So now let's do this practical, right? So first of all, log in to your console using given username and password. And yeah, one more thing, please note this region, because this is one of the important concept in AWS, because the resources are created region wise, right? So we have already selected US East 1. So now just search for the EC2 service. So now find network and security. Here you will find security groups and click on this create security group. Now you have to name this security group, which is data center SG. Description is not required. Here we have to select VPC. Then we have to add inbound rules, right? So here it is specified that we have selected VPC. Let me just brief you about it. It stands for virtual private cloud. VPC is basically your private network inside AWS, and the default VPC is already created for us, so we'll use that, right? Here it is already available. So first of all, we need to add inbound rules over here. That will add here the port number will be 80 and available to anywhere in IPv4, right? So we have added one rule for Nginx or Apache, right, with the port number 80. Now for SSH, same way. So first we have selected HTTP, which automatically sets the protocol and port to 80. Here also you can find HTTP, and the same way SSH is also available, right? Okay, so we have selected. Now just need to click on this create security group, and the security group will be created, right? Now this was all using UI, right? So now let's do the same thing using CLI, because this is how the real automation works. So first of all, we need to create a security group, right? So the command which is used, before that just check the configuration of the AWS, that it is already configured or not, right? Okay, so access key ID is already stored, secret access key, and then region is also selected, so we are not required to do any configuration again. Now to create a security group, you have to type AWS EC2 create security group. We have to specify the name for the group, which is data center SG. We need to give it a description, which is security group for Nautilus app servers, right? And then we have to specify the region for it in which we want to create, so which is US East 1. Okay, now just okay, here's one typo. Okay, now just hit enter and the security group should be created, but an error occurred. Okay, so it is already created, so I'll just delete this security group. Okay, Okay, so our security group is created. So now this command registered our security group inside the AWS, and it returned group ID of that security group, right, which uniquely identifies it in the AWS network. Now we need to add rules. So we have created just security group. Now the inbound rules are remaining. So for that, execute this command, authorize security group ingress. For the inbound rule, here we have to specify the group name, which is data center SG. We have to specify the protocol, which is TCP. Then we have to specify the port number for this, which is 80. Then CIDR, right, and finally the region, US East 1. Oh, that's it, right? So now same way you have to do for 22 means for SSH also. Here we just need to change the port number for this, which is 22, right? That's it. Now for the verification that now instead of assuming everything worked correctly, we need to verify this also, right? So for that, AWS EC2 describe security groups. We have to specify the name for the group, name of the group, which is data center SG, and region, which is USS1. It will list out the details for that. Okay, so a security group exists with inbound rules for the HTTP and for SSH, right? So now, so it looks perfect, right? So now let's connect everything together. When someone tries to access our server, means your server, let's say through browser on port number 80, request come from the internet, then it enters AWS network, and then security group checks the rules. If port number 80 is allowed, then request reaches your instance. If not allowed, then the request is dropped silently. And same for the SSH also, right? If port number 22 is not open, you cannot connect to it, no matter what the key pair you have. This is why the security group is one of the most important components in the AWS networking, right? Now just take a real scenario connection, right? Now think of a real situation. You launch an EC2 instance, attach a key pair correctly, everything looks perfect, but SSH is not working. So most of the time the issue is not with SSH or key pair, it is with security group that is not allowing port 22, or your website is not loading, and the reason is port 80 is not open. So security group becomes the first place to check when the connectivity fails, and this you can define while creating the EC2 instance, right? If we have, okay, click on launch instance, get started. Okay, here you'll found network settings, and here is the option that security group. From here also, from you can select the default rules, right? Like allow SSH traffic from internet, for HTTP also, HTTPS also. From here also you can define the rules. So this was all about day number 2 of cloud AWS. Now you understand how the AWS controls network access before traffic even reaches your server, right? And how the security groups acts as a virtual firewall at the infrastructure layer. Now we have both key pair and network access ready, which means we are fully prepared for the next step, which is launching an EC2 instance in the cloud, right? And also, if you want all the hands-on solutions, including the AWS cloud solutions, so for that you can visit this my repository named Code Cloud Solutions, You will find solutions related to the 100 days of cloud, 100 days of DevOps, Ansible, cloud, Docker, Git, Jenkins, Kubernetes, Linux, and Terraform, and many things, right? And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn, where I share learnings, progress, and DevOps insights regularly, right? So if this video helped you to understand the security groups clearly, then do like this video and subscribe to the DevOps with us, and I will see you in the next video. So thank you for watching.